Yeah. I know it's some of your first times, I think, for one person anyway. We usually will start sitting or standing. It's really up to you. So tonight, I'm going to start the class standing. But if you feel like, and I want everybody to start standing, but if you feel partway through that you want to sit on a chair or sit on the floor, um, go ahead and do that. Um, yeah. So if you are sitting on if you are going to sit, I would really sit on a chair rather than sit on the floor right away, because we're going to go through some stuff today that I usually go through when I have like a new person in the class, or I'm instructing like a new group. I'm going to be going over some of those things tonight, but even people who've been in my classes for a while is a really good reminder for some of it, okay? So, yeah, so I'm going to stand up. I don't know, I sat a lot, I was on the computer working a lot today. So I'm going to start the class standing. So hello everybody, welcome. And tonight we're going to be working on our hips and our shoulders. So we're going to begin class by doing some shoulder mobility in fun ways. And then we're going to move into some hip mobility, or really hip stability, okay, which is so important. Especially with winter coming up, we want to feel really stable walking, right? Okay, so everybody come to your feet. And what we're going to do to begin, and if you have a strap, grab that right away. And we're just going to talk a little bit about standing. So first I want you to just come to your mat and kind of have your feet about hip width distance apart. And I want you to stand and fall into that place how you normally stand. So maybe just try to kind of not think about it too much, and maybe wiggle around a little bit, and then just like come into that place. So this is my place. I know that this is my place. This is where I've hung out a lot in my life, right? And we all have those places, right? Not a lot of us are always standing in really nice aligned posture for us. But tonight we are going to practice that. So bring your feet about hip width distance apart. And what that means is that find your hip bones. And then when you look down at your feet, your hip bones are kind of lined up with the front of your ankles. And we're going to turn the feet in. A lot of us, when we stand, we stand with the feet out. But when our feet are hip width distance apart, they should be turned in. Now, if you get a feeling like your knees are kind of caving in, you can do this little thing where you feel like there's a bit of an external, well, there is an external rotation in your hips. So you're trying to like rotate your hips out. And if you don't get it, that's fine. So we're going to review that later. And now oftentimes when we stand, and even when we are not standing in our usual, but I say, okay, we'll stand straight now. A lot of us hang our weight out over our toes like this. It's just 80% of the population probably stands like this and walk, and it's like this too when they're walking. So really all I want you to do is think about putting the weight of your pelvis back into your heels, and take your strap now, and I want you to just kind of hold it so that it's dangling, and if it has a little heavy thing at the end, a buckle, just have that on the bottom. And then take your strap and just hold it on the side of your hip like so. And this will give you an indication. So you want this to be a straight line, hip, knee, and ankle. So you can see if I was leaning like this, the strap goes forward, and and yeah. So just really putting the weight back into our heels is sometimes just a great way to start. You could even like lift your toes. So if the weight is in your heels, you can even like lift your toes, and while we're at it, we'll spread them and bring them down. Now, another thing and you can drop your strap. Another thing we tend to do is we tend to stand up straight and arch our chest out like this. But what we want to do is we want our ribs to be nice and flat down. So just let the ribs come down. And we might want to roll our shoulders and bring the shoulder blades nice and flat against our back. And now, another thing that happens next is that your neck probably protrudes out like that. So, and especially on computer, we end up being like this. So we want to weight back, we want to extend up, and kind of with if the head is out, we just kind of want to push the chin in. So we're not raising the head like this, we're pushing back. And let the shoulders come down. And you may feel like, oh, you may notice my weight start to go over my toes again. So just pushing that weight back. And at the same time, we're standing here and we may be feeling tension because we're concentrating on it, focusing on it. We might start tensing other places. It's new. Our nervous system is like, what is this? So another part of that practice is to feel ease in this position. So when I said roll your shoulders back, I don't want you holding your shoulders back. I want you to, we want to get in this good posture, get our body used to being in this posture in ease and not in force. And we'll never get there if we're just forcing. So coming back to the breath, very important when we're in this standing posture. Also what we tend to do, and part of the reason is because we spend so much time like this, is the front of our legs get really strong, our quads, but the back side gets really weak. So a lot of times when we are standing in this neutral posture, for us, we're all different, we really want to get out of holding up our knees. We want our legs straight, but we don't want to be clenching in the quads. So just learning to let your quads relax. Okay, so that's a lot just to start, but keeping all these little cues in mind while we are standing here. Maybe just watch yourself, you know, the weight swaying forward especially. And what we're going to do next is breathe. So again, I want you to grab your strap and I want you to put it around your bottom of your ribs, and I want you to just tie it there, okay? You don't have a strap, you can bring your hands to your ribs like so. Come into that nice standing posture, and remember, it's not going to be perfect right away. So do the best you can, but try not to be in any tension, okay? So if you find it too hard to kind of lean your weight back, then don't bend your knees, keep the knees straight, and maybe you do have to keep your weight a little more forward and you'll get used to it, okay? So finding that nice comfortable place. Let your arms just drop down by your sides and you have this strap around your ribs. And maybe let's just take some breaths in through the nose and let them out through the mouth a couple times. Perhaps tuck the chin may have started to come out. And take one other big breath. And when you take this breath, notice where you feel the breath. So take your next breath in through the nose, out through the nose, out through the mouth. Doesn't matter. But just notice where you feel the breath in your body. Come back to just a normal soft breath now. Close your eyes. Noticing your breath, noticing what moves. Is your belly moving? Is your belly really tight, but your chest is moving? Are you able to take a deep breath? Are your breaths shallow? How does your breath feel? And just a little exercise for you is when you take your next few breaths, a very gentle, easy breaths, just see if you can expand your ribs or feel the strap against your ribs on both sides. So like you're expanding the ribs out to the sides on your inhale. And on your next inhale, see if you can focus your breath on expanding the ribs from the front to the back. So taking a breath in and realizing that your lungs are expanding and there's a little bit of movement in your ribs as well. They actually expand all the way around. Now, not thinking of your breath too much, just come back to a normal breath for you. And with your next couple breaths, I want you to think about the inhale as a response to a nice long exhale. So as it is as though the exhale is followed by the inhale. So anytime you need to take a break or you want to take some time for some breathing, these are little things that can help you become more aware of how you naturally breathe and hold yourself, okay? When we're doing anything, what would be ideal is to be able to move with ease, where we're not tensing and we're not forcing anything. So tonight I want you to think about that as we go through some of the things that we'll be doing tonight. So I'm still standing in this position. If you want to have a wider stance, go ahead. If you feel like you need to move in a little bit or probably stretch, go ahead, shake the hips, do whatever you feel like your body wants you to do right now, okay? So get that all out. If you need to shake it out. Take some breaths. And coming back to a standing posture that's nice and comfortable for you, we're going to begin with just some neck mobility, but very, very gentle, okay? And if you know that this is not for you, please just stay here standing with your breath or any kind of exercises that you usually do for your neck. You can go ahead, because I know it's a very sensitive place for some people. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep the nose straight, and we're just going to turning our head from left to right, but really just thinking of the nose, just making a straight line from side to side, and we're not forcing anything, okay? Moving with a nice easy breath, perhaps putting your weight back in the heels, spreading your toes, easy belly, nice and relaxed, not gripping or holding in the pelvic floor. Come forward. And now we're just going to gently bring the ear down. So the nose is in the center. You're just bringing the ear down towards the shoulder, and we're just tick-tocking back and forth. Now, if your chin is stuck out, remember to bring your chin in so that you have a nice long neck in the back, and we're just doing gentle tick-tocks back and forth. Move with your breath. Inhale one way and then exhale the other way. And come up. And then just as though we're moving our nose on the numbers of the clock, we're going to bring our nose up to 12 and just go around one way, going around the numbers of the clock. So we're not going into that place of tension. And we're going to go around the other way a couple of times. And move with your breath. And coming forward. Now we're going to do a nice little twist. So I just want you to take your hands onto your ribs, and we're going to try to twist from the ribs. So everything else is nice and stable, weight still back in my heels, and I'm going to do a twist with the ribs. So I just want the ribs to rotate to the left and rotate to the right. And just try to keep your head where it is, because we sometimes get this feeling like we're twisting by moving the head. Or just try to keep the head where it is and twist, just a little gentle twist, just getting a little mobility, bringing a bit of awareness into this twist. And this is where we should be twisting from, okay? So even in our everyday, trying to keep our core nice and stable, and any twist, instead of twisting through the hips, twisting this way, let's try to be moving through the thoracic spine here. Come back, take a breath. Taking the shoulders now up towards the ears, but not really the shoulders, initiating the movement from the shoulder blades. We're gonna raise the shoulders up towards the ears and squeeze the blades together. Gentle squeeze, just moving down the back. Inhale, another one up. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and bring them down. Take a breath. The other way around. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, move the shoulder blades up the back, and then bring the shoulder blades back to neutral and down. So again, shoulder blades together, move the shoulder blades up the back, initiating the movement with the blades and not the arm bone, and then coming around again and relax. Tucking the chin, and taking a breath. So our strap again. So taking our strap, and I want you to have a nice kind of wide arms here, not too wide, just where it's nice and comfortable for you. My knuckles are pointing down towards the floor to begin. I'm coming into my nice standing posture, and I'm going to raise the strap now over my head. And as I do this, I don't want my ribs to help me, okay? Get my arms up. I want my ribs, everything nice and stable. And the only movement here is coming from the arms and the shoulder socket. So just bringing the arms up, and we're gonna come down again. And come up. Now, if you can only go so far, if you can only go this far, respect this boundary, okay? Because bringing your ribs and compressing your lower back is not what we want to do. We're working with the mobility in our shoulders. So if you come here, that's okay. Now, what we're going to do, or another option for you, is bend the elbows. So if you can bring them up so far and you want to bend your elbows, and you can probably get them up a little bit or back a little bit further, you can go ahead too. If you can get your arms over your head, or however high you can bring the arms, actually, it doesn't have to be overhead. We're going to do little circles here. So I'm just moving the shoulders in the shoulder sockets, okay? So just getting nice mobility here in the shoulders. Try to relax the jaw. Relax the face. No tension in the shoulders even. Trying to relax, little circles. So you're not clenching the shoulders and holding the shoulders up to the ears. You can come down and have a breather if you want. And come up again. Take an inhale and come up. And we're going to go in the other direction. So I'm just doing little circles now in the other direction. Relax the belly and the jaw, the space between the eyes, the forehead. Little circles is all we're doing. And release and come down. Take a breath. You can roll your shoulders if you want. You can shimmy the hips from side to side. Take a big breath, expand the ribs on your breath. And now bring the hands a little closer. I'm probably just out a little bit wider than your hips here. And we're gonna raise again. So just do the best you can. If you can only get this far, remember that is okay. And what we're going to do, if you do come up all the way, you can come up all the way if that's available to you. I can't come up all the way either. I just come up to where I know that I can't get any further without my ribs thrusting up, okay? So my arms are up pretty straight. My knuckles are pointing up towards the ceiling. I'm in my nice stance. And all I want you to do is take a breath, and on your exhale, I want you to pull the right arm kind of behind you. Take a breath. So it's very little movement. Now I'm not turning myself. Nothing else is moving, only my arm. I'm just pulling my right arm kind of like back behind me a little bit. And take a breath. and relax. You can come down if you want, take a breath. And then we're gonna move to the other side. So bring it up again, bring it up, check the mobility you have in your shoulders. Don't force it. If you get here and you feel I have a boundary, we're not even trying to stay there. I actually want you to come a little bit out of that. I don't want you to be just hanging at that edge of the boundary, okay? So it's not about force, remember. So we're on the other side. Take a breath, relax the belly, the jaw, the face. And now you're just pulling my other arm back, my left arm this time behind me. Taking a breath. And exhale, release, and come down. Give it a shake. Come back to your breath. And now one more thing we're going to do with the strap in our shoulders here. We're going to, you'll find your Goldilocks zone here. You might have to open a little bit wider. I start with the knuckles down towards the floor. Nice stance. Chin is not poking out. Weight in my heels. Taking a breath and raising the arms now above the head again. And this time I want you to bend in the elbows and pull the strap down behind your head. And push up. So my arms are like in this cactus position when I bring them down. Release any tension in the jaw, even in the shoulders. Nice, easy movements. I'm kind of pulling the strap apart, right? There's a little bit of tension there. I'm moving the arms up and behind. If this is not available to you tonight, don't worry, okay? Just go back to the thing that we previously did. So just go back to one of the other two things, or just take a break and focus on your breath. So we're just going to do one more. And exhale down. Release your strap. Maybe shake it out. Maybe give your shoulders a nice rub. Sorry guys, I have to be checking the time to just, okay, so just checking in now to see how that feels. How does all of that feel? How is that experience for you? What have you learned? What can you take in to your everyday? So just coming back to the breath, coming aware again of your feet on the floor. And we're going to get into a bit of the hips now. So to begin, I want you to take your feet about pelvis width distance apart again. The weight back into your heels, remember, chin in, ribs down. And all we're going to do first is bring our weight to one foot and raise the other leg. And I want you to notice when you did this, and even if you have a mirror, what is going on for you? Did your hip jut out? Are you hanging over your toes, okay? I want you, just like when we're standing on 2 feet, to stand straight, bring the weight back into your heels. And now even try noticing what's happening. It's okay, it's a bit of a balance. And then bring your hands down by your sides. And move to the other side. So we're just putting the weight onto the right foot. I just need to make sure that the weight is back over my heels, spread my toes, and I'm just standing now on this leg. And that's all we're doing, standing nice straight leg, but weight in the back. So you should be feeling your glutes, your backs of your legs, your hamstrings bearing the weight more so than the front of our legs, okay? So that's where we're kind of trying to put the effort, is more back in the back body when we do this. So it may mean that we're doing a little bit of a hinge at the hips. Not rolling in the back, just a little hinge in the hips, okay? See if that hip wants to come out to the side. Put your hand there and push it back in. Come down and come over to the other side. So same thing, straight leg, push the weight back, stand on the leg. So really just working all the musculature around the hips. Very important for when we walk even, okay? Because when we walk, there is a time where we have weight on one leg. So if you notice like a huge difference, let's move to the other leg. If you notice a huge difference from side to side when you're standing on one side and the other, that's probably showing up in your walking and your moving as well. So just noticing, playing around with that. This is something that you can do washing dishes, at work, standing at your desk, when you're waiting in line somewhere. These are things you can do. And right here, you're working all the musculature around your hips. So staying, breathing with ease while we're doing this. And come down. Make sure you did it both even on both sides. Maybe give that a little wiggle and a little shake. And come back to your breath. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, let me see, because I tend to go all over the place and not stay. Let's do a little bit. So that was some stability around the hips. Let's just do a little more mobility while we're here. So let's again put our weight to our left foot. And then again, our weight of our pelvis, and you have to go back over our heels. Lift the leg up and see if you can bring the knee up and down, okay? If you need to hold onto a wall or a chair here, go ahead, okay? Because we're really just worried about, we're not worried about working, getting mobility in the hips, getting a little bit of balance and stability in this hip at the same time. So weight back, knee straight, lift this right knee up now without jogging the pelvis. You're just lifting the knee to wherever it goes, okay? Just you're moving that big leg bone in your hip socket. Let's take a breath in and come up and down. So this other hip probably getting tired, keep it in. Lift up and down. More weight in the heel. You can even probably lift the toes of your standing leg. And down. And this time we're going to lift the leg up and just open it up to the side. And that's it. And close, open. Now I'm not moving my torso, I'm not moving my pelvis, I'm trying to keep the pelvis nice and still. Bring the knee up, open. I'm not opening very much, that's the mobility I have, that's the rotation I have here. Close and come down. Shake it out, you're probably feeling that in the hip now. And we're gonna move to the other side. So hold something. Putting my weight into my right foot. Check out, if you're one of those thrusters of the chin, bring it in, weight of your pelvis back. It means like maybe a little hip hinge as you put the weight back, but don't go bending in the knee. Keep that knee straight and just holding the foot up first and come down. Hold the foot up, now bend in the knee, bring the knee up and down. Keep this hip in, don't let the list happen. It's a pelvic list, keep it in, up, down. You can just tap your toe, you don't have to put the weight all the way down. Up and down. Gentle, easy breath. Do not be tensing anywhere, try not to. Up and now open. Close and down. Take a break if you need it. Open and down. See if we can do 2 more. And 1 more. If you're done, that's fine too. Because we don't want to be compensating. We don't want to be like, oh, I can do one more, but you're like all over the place, okay? So really respecting your boundaries, where you're at, becoming aware of where you're at, and not to be forcing through anything. That's the main thing I want people to get with my classes, okay? This is learning to move in ease and improving our mobility maybe, or strength, but all through ease of movement, okay? Okay, so now what I want you to do is bring the legs a little wider. And it's the same kind of idea. Legs are straight. Our weight is not hanging out in the front. It's pushed back in the back. Nice straight torso. Tuck the chin. And now what I want you to do is to bring the weight a little over to the left and to the right. Actually, let's start with the feet a little closer together first. And we'll just have the feet forward. And just let's shift the weight from side to side. So that's all it is. Drop the hands. We're just shifting the weight from side to side. So I'm not doing this and wagging my hips from side to side. I'm shifting the weight over one heel and shifting the weight over the other heel. Now try to relax and breathe with ease. So very small movement. Another thing that you could be doing when you're waiting in line at an airport or whatever. I guess an airport is not a good example right now. There's not many people traveling. And now what I want you to do is open the legs a little wider, and the feet will tend to turn out a little on an angle. And I want you to continue this, but now put a little bit of bend in the knee. So maybe you'll have to do a little bit wider. So as you do this, I'm still thinking putting my hips back, okay? So hinging at the hips, hips back, weight into my heels. And this time I'm bending one knee and then bending another. So same thing, I'm not coming over to the side like this. I'm just transferring my weight from side to side. So you really want to feel it in your glutes. So when I come over to this side, I have to push down on my heel, transfer my weight over on this side, and the weight is back. You're pushing your bum back. And when you do, you can feel your glutes, all the hip musculature here, inside, outside of the hip, turning on. So that's what you're doing, going side to side. Now, if that's a little too much for you, if not, continue doing side to side, 2 on each side, take a breath. If that's too much for you, another option is to have a chair, have the legs wide open to each side of your mat, hinge at the hips. And this is also, if you wanted to come out of what you were doing and come into this one, you can as well. Pile some bolsters up until when you hinge over with straight legs, it's comfortable for you to put your hands down. So I have something on the chair to make this more comfortable for me. I'm putting my bum, my hips back. See, I'm pushing my hips back, keeping my torso nice and straight. I just hinged back nice and straight. And now as though, and you can try this with a wall behind you, we're going to move our bum on the wall, side to side. So this is another nice little hip mobility exercise. Just the swaying side to side. And then you can move into, if you want, this bending like we were doing earlier, but you have a bit of the support from the chair, okay? And we'll come up, come to standing, take a breath. Notice how that feels in the hips. Anytime you do any kind of class, it is possible to have some pain and discomfort after. If that happens to you tonight, that's going to be an indication to you that you did not listen to those little warning signs. And in my classes and anything you do, I really need or want you to be aware and listen for those little tiny whispers that says, this does not feel good, because pain is not an indication that you're doing anything good for your body, but quite the opposite, okay? So if any of these things are not feeling right for you, if tomorrow you wake up and you're like, oh, that wasn't, think back about what it was that you did, and you're gonna have to become like really aware, so that when we're doing some of these things in class, you're like, I did that last time, that didn't feel good for me. And if you ever have any questions, please send me a note. So I know there's a little bit of more talking. There's somebody new, so I get very particular about movement when there's somebody new with me. So bear with me, my friends. I hope you're still enjoying this. So always come back to the breath. That's a lot of information, a lot of like probably new work. So let's just come back to our breath, to the awareness of our standing. You can even, if you want, come and stand against a wall, so you have a little bit of support and a little bit of feedback from the wall of how it feels to stand comfortably and in ease. And just take some breaths. Notice if there's anywhere you're holding tension, around the belly, around the face. Try to clear the mind. And now opening your eyes again, we will come down onto the floor. Now, the reason why I got you to bring a million bolsters and everything, or like not bolsters, but pillows and props, is because anytime we're going to come to the ground, or we're going to sit, or we're going to lay on our backs, I think props are important for everybody. We want to feel comfortable when we're sitting, right? So what we'll come to, and I know we're only 15 minutes left, but we're gonna sit for a moment. And what I want you to do is get some things for you to sit on. I don't want you sitting directly on the floor. If you know sitting on the floor is going to be uncomfortable for you, you find it hard getting down, find it hard getting up, sit on a chair. So if you're gonna sit on a chair, bring yourself to the edge of your chair. And I was going to go through squats tonight, but as always, I probably talk too much. Anyway, to sit on the chair, we're going to hinge like we just did, okay? Like I just told you. So weight is back into your heels. You're standing up nice and straight, and you're going to hinge to sit. And just notice if you plop or if you can just kind of come down steady and with ease. When you're here, just sit at the edge of the chair so that you could feel your sit bones on the chair. You may need to rock your pelvis a bit to find that neutral place, and a neutral for you is going to be a place that feels easy and good, not a place of pain. You may even want to open your legs wider to feel that you are sitting up straighter, that you could feel your hip bones underneath you. So you can stay here and open your legs down, stretch them out. You may have to come more at the edge of your chair. You can do this, or you can sit on the floor. Sitting on the floor, I want to raise my hips up over my knees, because without this, we have a tendency to curl our backs when we're sitting on the floor. So I want to be up high onto something. This is too rocky. I mean, I'd even prefer to be up on something higher than this. And we're going to spread the legs wide with the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Come take a breath. Again, we're finding that neutral posture in our spines. If it's uncomfortable, you may have to bring yourself up higher. Maybe you want to have the wall behind you for just like an extra bit of like feedback for sitting. We're going to go into some internal and external rotations now with the legs. So we want to move the leg bones in the hip sockets here. So try to initiate the movement from the hip bones rather than the toes and the shins, the feet. So really want, and it's nice to close the eyes sometimes, move with your breath. And a simple internal, external. When you got them external, just hold there, take a breath. And then come together and breathe. And wide. And together, or internal, external, I should say. And then you can bring the legs in a little closer and continue the movement. And a little closer, moving with your breath, not clenching your face. And even closer together. Okay, so we're going to come and lay down now on our backs. So again, when you come down to lay on your back, laying on your back is not always comfortable, especially flat on your back with no supports. So a lot of times if you come and lay down on your back, and you can go ahead and do it now, and I'm just going to point out a couple things as you do it. So come and lay on your back with your feet straight out. And first I just want you to notice if your chin comes up towards the ceiling. So if you do, you definitely, when you come down onto your back, if your chin, you can keep your legs bent actually first. If your chin comes up like this, it's nice to have a little support under your head so that you can have a neutral torso, neck alignment, okay? Now, feel like you could feel the ribs on the ground. Put your legs out straight now and see what happens. So if you put your legs out straight and then your ribs came off the floor, it could be an indication either of your psoas being like really tight, which for most of us they are, or real like constriction around the front of the ribs, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. We just want to support our bodies. So you may need to then prop yourself up from the ribs, maybe with a bit of head, something for your head here. So the ribs come down and you can have a bit of spacer so you don't put it at the bottom of your ribs, and then straighten out your legs and see if that helped. Sometimes you may end up being propped up way more. You could be here, okay? So the idea is that the backs of your legs, your thighs are touching the floor, your ribs are touching the floor, and the back of your neck is touching the floor or the back of your head. And that your torso is even and level, okay? So now that you are there, however is comfortable for you, grab your block. So I'm just going to have this little blanket underneath my head. Actually, I don't know if we're gonna have a lot of time for this. What I'm gonna do, yes, look, I'm gonna do something else, but you still need your block. Okay, so if you don't have a block, even like a little thin book would be fine. This might be too much for some people, I'm not sure. What we're going to do here is we're going to slide this block underneath like our pelvis here. But what I want you to do is you're kind of getting it at the edge of your sit bone. So it's not on my pelvis. It's not hanging out on my sacrum either, my lower back. I kind of have it where it's kind of the fleshy parts of my bone are kind of keeping it where it is between the flesh and like my sit bones. Okay. And you kind of just want to release, let everything just release here now. So keep the legs bent, but try to relax the belly and the pelvic floor. Let your arms relax by your sides. If this is not comfortable for you, go back to where we bolstered ourselves comfortably with your legs straight on the floor, okay? If this feels good for you or you want to try this, go ahead and try this. So what you're trying to do while you're here is relax everything. And you'll notice that this space here becomes a little smaller, the space between your mat and your lower back, okay? And that's what you want to happen. You kind of want your just to fall and rest here and let everything just fall. So we're going to move into Shavasana. So I recommend staying here if you can in this position for 5 to 10 minutes. It's a beautiful psoas release. If this is comfortable for you, it can do wonders. Bring it into other parts of bring it into other days of the week as well, not only just during yoga. If this is not comfortable, by all means, switch it up. We're going to move right into Shavasana now. So I want you to bring your arms down by your sides with your palms facing up. And just try to bring your awareness to your body. Noticing if there's places you could still let go. And I bet the area around your body, around your torso, your lower back, around your ribs, has room to relax. So really letting yourself fall into this supported relaxation. Creating space between the teeth, removing the tongue from the roof of the neck. Maybe releasing tension between the eyebrows and the forehead, the jaw, and the shoulders, the pelvis, the pelvic floor, and letting yourself fall deep into this sense of letting your muscles relax. Noticing whatever there is to notice. Noticing the weight of your head against the floor. Feeling heavier. Your shoulders, the backs of your arms, your back body. Noticing where it touches the mat and letting the weight release a little more into the earth below you. down to your pelvis, around your belly. Noticing the rise and fall of your belly with the breath. Notice any movement around the chest and the rib cage. With every breath. Allowing your hips to be heavy, your legs inactive. Moving down into your ankles, your heels, your feet, and your toes. Relaxing is sometimes more difficult than contracting our muscles. Oftentimes, our muscles are contracted when they don't need to be. And it's so important to bring awareness to these parts, especially the parts where we hold tension, and bring our awareness there so we can learn to release. So we can learn to release those things, those movements, those postures, the breath that don't serve us. I recommend